This year was actually my best since graduating school. You might be thinking, how is it the best in half a decade? Well, upon entering adulthood, I felt an immense sense of loss, where my bubble was popped and I went through the toughest times of my life so far, not to mention a pandemic on top of them. I can split my year into a few clear portions. The first was spent travelling. I went to Brisbane for work, then almost immediately went overseas for the first time with friends to Singapore and spent a long weekend in Tassie. Then came the cold and dreary winter, where even though the unexplainable sadness I usually feel wasn't as prominent, I went through one of the most boring periods of my life. In fact, in one of those months, I spent as little as $200. I was home a lot with many friends having their hot girl European summer or just wanting to go home and beat the early onset of nightfall. The most interesting thing that happened was changing work divisions, where at this exact time I also had next to nothing to do. So I was bored in both my personal and work life and basically spent my days mood boarding for my future events. The final third of this year was very busy. I spent a lot of it working towards my friend's wedding, work really ramped up, and I started overspending again. So why was it such a great year? I've given you a recap, but here's why I enjoyed it so much. Nothing greatly negative happened, at least so far, because I realize I'm posting this early. God was really gracious. I switched churches for the first time and learnt a lot about him. I was curious and enjoying my faith again. I became more independent with daily tasks like cooking. I grew into my assertiveness even more. I'm grateful every day for the people in my life. I went to some great performances, improved on doing my makeup, and put effort into my outfits. The biggest downer of my year was my anxiousness. Even though I made a pact to improve on it exactly a year ago, it actually worsened. Sometimes my anxiety was so crippling, I would take a nap instead of working, and my chest feeling tight became a pretty normal feeling for me. This is something I know I have to work on improving going into the next year because it really debilitates me. All in all, I'm really excited for this next year because the age I'm turning, 24, is an age I've always looked forward to. When I was 9, my friends and I discussed what age we'd like to be forever, and I said 24 because supposedly I'll be living in an apartment with my husband. Even though I have no idea if that become true or not, it definitely gives me a spark of anticipation for this new year.